Renowned economist Jeffrey D. Sachs recently delivered a significant message to India. He spoke at the Rising Bharat Summit 2025 on May 14th. His core advice was clear and direct. India must tread carefully amidst the growing tensions between the United States and China. Sachs urged India to avoid becoming a strategic tool for American foreign policy. He specifically cautioned against being used as a counterweight to China. This warning comes at a critical time for global politics. India's decisions will have far-reaching consequences for its future and for international relations. Sachs emphasized that the United States has a particular geopolitical strategy. This strategy, he believes, aims to involve India. The US, according to Sachs, wants India to play a role in its efforts to contain China's influence. He strongly advised India against falling into this role. Becoming a pawn in this great power game would not serve India's best interests. Instead, India should focus on charting its own independent course on the world stage. This means making decisions based on its own unique needs and aspirations, not external pressures from other nations. The economist's perspective is that US foreign policy is often centered on control. This approach, he warned, could be detrimental to its allies. Even nations friendly with the US might find themselves in difficult situations. Sachs suggested that a close alignment with US geopolitical aims could lead to turmoil. Therefore, India needs to be cautious. It must carefully evaluate the implications of any strategic partnerships. The long-term effects on India's sovereignty and stability are paramount considerations. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for India's policymakers. Sachs's comments highlight a fundamental challenge for many nations today. The US-China rivalry is reshaping the global order. Countries are increasingly pressured to choose sides. However, Sachs advocates for a different approach for India. He believes India's strength lies in its ability to maintain autonomy. This autonomy allows India to engage with all major powers. It prevents India from being locked into a single alliance. This flexibility is vital in an uncertain world. India's foreign policy should reflect this strategic independence. Professor Sachs strongly recommended that India maintain a neutral stance. This neutrality is particularly important in the context of US-China relations. He advised India to avoid adopting an explicitly anti-China position merely to gain favor with the United States. Such a move, he argued, would be short-sighted. It could limit India's diplomatic options and potentially harm its long-term interests. True strength, Sachs implied, comes from an ability to engage constructively with all nations. This balanced approach ensures India is not isolated. Maintaining strong and balanced relations with multiple global powers is key. Sachs specifically mentioned China, Russia, Europe, Africa, and the United States. He stressed the importance of not closing any diplomatic doors. Each of these relationships offers unique benefits to India. Whether it's economic cooperation, technological exchange, or cultural ties, diversity in partnerships is an asset. A multifaceted foreign policy allows India to navigate complex global issues more effectively. It also enhances India's influence on the international stage. One specific area of concern for Sachs is India's involvement in the Quad. The quadrilateral security dialogue includes India, the US, Japan, and Australia. Sachs criticized this alliance. He suggested that the Quad primarily serves US interests. He views it largely as an anti-China coalition. In his opinion, India should not participate in alliances that are designed to counter a specific nation. Such participation could draw India into conflicts that are not its own. It could also undermine its stated policy of strategic autonomy and its pursuit of a multipolar world order. While acknowledging the existing border disputes and other tensions between India and China, Sachs proposed a pragmatic approach. He suggested that these issues should be resolved bilaterally, directly between the two nations. He pointed out a significant fact: India and China together represent about 40% of the world's population. This demographic reality presents an opportunity. These two Asian giants could potentially collaborate on managing global affairs. Such cooperation could lead to greater stability and prosperity for the entire world, rather than focusing solely on their differences. Jeffrey Sachs offered a stark assessment of US intentions. He stated clearly that the United States wants to use India as a tool against China. This is a significant claim. It suggests that US overtures towards India may have an underlying strategic motive. This motive, according to Sachs, is less about genuine partnership and more about enlisting India in a broader geopolitical contest. Understanding this perspective is crucial for Indian policymakers. They must carefully weigh the benefits and risks of closer ties with the US, particularly in the security domain. The Economist described US foreign policy as being control-centric. He warned that such an approach can be detrimental even to its allies. History has shown instances where US friendship, if not carefully managed, has led to unforeseen complications or turmoil for partner nations. Sachs's warning implies that India should be wary of becoming too dependent on the US. It should avoid situations where its foreign policy choices are dictated by Washington's agenda. Maintaining its own strategic space is vital for India's long-term security and development, ensuring its decisions serve its populace first. Sachs also expressed skepticism about the anticipated bilateral trade agreement between India and the US. This deal is expected by September 2025. He cautioned that the US might not have genuine goodwill in these negotiations. The underlying aim, he reiterated, could be to leverage India against China. He specifically advised India to be cautious about its agricultural sector. India should not make compromises that could harm its farmers or food security. This warning adds another layer to the complex India-US relationship, urging a careful approach to economic partnerships. Furthermore, Sachs touched upon US trade policies more broadly. He criticized former President Donald Trump's unilateral economic decisions. These included imposing hefty tariffs on China and other countries. Sachs described the US administration at that time as a one-man show. He argued that such actions destabilize global economic relations and disrupt supply chains. He noted the US, particularly under such leadership, does not truly support international value chains whether they are based in China or India. This suggests that even if India attracts manufacturing, it might still face protectionist measures from the US. The overarching message from Jeffrey Sachs was clear. India should always act in its own national interest. It must think independently and avoid being manipulated by external powers, particularly the United States. He urged India not to blindly follow US foreign policy directives. Instead, India has the potential and the responsibility to lead globally. This leadership should be based on India's own values and priorities. It means carving out a unique role for itself in an increasingly complex world, a role that reflects its civilizational heritage and future aspirations. Sachs is a strong advocate for a multipolar world. He sees the era of US dominance as coming to an end. In its place, a world with multiple centers of power is emerging. India, with its growing economy and large population, is a natural pole in this new order. By pursuing a neutral and independent foreign policy, India can contribute to the stability of this multipolar system. This involves engaging with all major players and fostering cooperation rather than confrontation. It is a vision of a more balanced and equitable global governance structure. Crucially, Sachs voiced strong support for India's bid for a permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council. He stated unequivocally that India's exclusion from this key global body makes no sense. Given India's size, its economic trajectory, and its contributions to international peacekeeping, its claim is undeniable. A permanent seat would give India a greater voice in shaping global norms and responding to international crises. It would be a recognition of India's status as a major global power and a step towards a more representative UN. Looking ahead, Sachs made a bold prediction about India's economic future. He projected that India could overtake the US as the world's second-largest economy within 10 to 15 years. He even suggested it might become the largest economy by the latter half of the 21st century. However, he also issued a warning. As India climbs the global economic ladder, it will likely face increasing resentment and pressure from the US. This is similar to the economic tensions currently seen between the US and China. Therefore, India must be prepared for these challenges and continue to assert its interests confidently.